Hello, and welcome to today's devotional from First Congregational UCC in Downers Grove. I'm Greg Skiba, a retired UCC pastor and a member of this congregation, sitting in occasionally while our pastor Scott is away on sabbatical. Today I'm sharing a reflection, as I mentioned in a previous devotional, from another person, a reflection on prayer and God's presence from Ole Hollisby's celebrated 1931 book called Simply Prayer. It's a little dated, so I've paraphrased and updated, I guess, some of the language for our 21st century ears, maybe a little easier to go with. About prayer and notes that it is probably most often seen as conversation with God, or simply talking to God, in which we use words to express ourselves and don't necessarily get any clear answers in language. He compares prayer to human relationships and notes that we can spend time together in complete silence with people whom we know very well, but we cannot do that very well at all with others we are not so well known to or with. We feel with such folks that we must converse with them in words. We entertain them either with interesting or profound things, as the case may be. But with our loved ones, dear ones, we can speak freely about common and insignificant things. Just be silent if we need to or want to, because we know each other's hearts. Simply, he says similarly, it is not necessary to maintain a conversation in words in the presence of God. As Jesus taught, God already knows our hearts and our needs before we speak them at all. We are fully known for who we are and may become, St. Paul suggests in 1 Corinthians 13. So we can come into and rest our weary souls in quiet contemplation in God's presence. To give a simple, but I think quite clear and lovely sense of this, Pastor Hollisby offers a couple of sweet descriptions of two occasions in a day with his very young child. I can tell you I can relate to this because I had a very little boy, a very good little boy who and little girl who had the same kind of propensity here. But Hollisby writes, "My little boy came one day and stuck his little head into the doorway of my study where I write my sermons. Now he knew that he was not supposed to disturb me during working hours, and his conscience troubled him a little on account of this. But he looked at me nevertheless with his kind, round baby eyes and said, 'Daddy dear, I will sit very still all the time if you will only let me be here with you.' And that, of course, received permission when he approached my father heart in that way, as many a father would know. And that little experience gave me a great deal to think about." Hollisby continues, referring to meditative or contemplative prayer, "For likewise there come times when I have nothing more to tell God. If I were to continue in prayer with words, I'd have to repeat what I've already said. At such times, it is wonderful to say to God, 'May I just be in your presence, Lord. I have nothing more to say to you now, but I do love to be in your presence.'" And then Hollisby relates another experience with his little boy. And he says that as evening drew nigh, our little fellow had been playing there on the floor until he became quite tired. And I noticed that he drew closer and closer to his mother. At last, he found the place he was longing for, his mother's lap. He did not have a great deal to say. He simply lay there and let his mother caress him to sleep. He goes on, "We too become tired, deadly tired of ourselves, of others, of the world, of everything, of life. And then it is a blessing to know of a place where we can lay our tired head and heart in our loving God's arms and say, 'I can do no more. I have nothing to tell you. I am not sure I even understand what I need, but I just here a while and rest.'" And I would add to Hollisby that in our so often hectic and scattered lives, perhaps one of the most important things we need to pray for with words is something like this: God, give us the grace to leave that too rare a place of wordless silence, where we can just and quiet, resting with the one we know already knows us better than we know ourselves. In Romans 20, an assurance. I hope there can be more times in your life and mine for just that kind of simple, wordless peace that we may find surely does surpass all of our understanding. May it be so for you. Amen.